ground floor.
Some of the good stuff and get some stocks going up there.
Exactly. I just saw while I was upstairs using your daughter's bathroom, I saw the little lighter on the
Oh yeah.
Arno has a lighter, ladies and
of
gentlemen,
myself, yeah.
which has a photo of himself
Yeah.
on the lighter. Tell me about that. Is it like a product you had to push or something?
No, so you would have seen the picture. On the lighter is me with this like frosted tips, hair backwards, and this funky wardrobe. So that was a photo shoot we did for a film that I shot what was that, about a year ago. And because it was so ridiculous, my one friend decided, no, he's gonna print me a lighter, or print the cover of the lighter with this photo, so that everywhere I go I can show that to people.
I see. I have a friend, his name's Eddie.
Yeah.
He's just the best. He's an amazing guy. And he now recently has, so he's built. I mean, he's really fit.
Okay.
Good looking guy. And he has now recently gotten this opportunity to do a photo shoot with his professional agency. Now
okay.
in quotation marks. He doesn't listen to this podcast, so I'm not bothered. And he's working on a boat right now. So he has these photos taken with like, you know those props that you hire for parties and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
the stupid hats and the big glasses and so he's now got this like Tarzan top that's made of like, sheep's fur or whatever, and he's got this very serious looking photo. And then there's another photo, I shit you not, I don't know. So they've taken his face smiling and put it inside a fishbowl. With a goldfish, and he's so chuffed with these photos.
Oh, he likes them.
Like he loves them. He put them all over social media and the whole thing. And we just
is he quite a quirky guy?
He's a quirky guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saved them. I sent them to my mate Ruben. We had a good laugh about it. And it's the kind of thing, because it's his first photo shoot. He doesn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So moving forward, if he does more, I mean, things will get better.
He's gonna look back at those.
I will keep that forever.
Yeah.
Like I will one day, when Eddie one day gets married and I need to now decide on a gift, I'm going to have that fishbowl photo blown up, and I'm going to give it to him, and I'm going to say to him, Eddie, I'm giving you this fishbowl photo. I know you probably won't put it up in your house, which is why I've put one up in my house to make sure.
So
that
every time people come visit, you can tell them the story.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
I'll show you. I'll actually pop the photo up.
Yeah,
for the
please
people
do.
watching
Please
on
do.
YouTube.
Maybe take a photo of that lighter as well.
Yes.
I'll send you the original photo if I still have it.
We'll put them up side by side. We'll have a photo of Eddie, of the photo of the lighter.
Who wore it best?
Exactly. We can have a competition. We'll do a poll on Instagram.
Okay.
And see who wins.
Me and Eddie, quirky Eddie.
No, Eddie's cool. I hope that someday you get to meet Eddie, and
we'll organize. Eddie, if you're watching this, let's go.
Exactly. No, he's brilliant. But yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, usually I do like this whole, hello, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the podcast.
But it's I've been getting like, the more podcasts I listen to, the more I realize that the ones I like are the ones that sound the least formal.
Yeah, I love it when it starts out. You can hear them still sort of setting up, still talking, because then so I felt myself now as well. I could sense, okay, we're actually starting with the podcast, and then I went into this sort of zone of,
like,
okay,
I'm on camera
now I'm doing a podcast, so I need to do, and I didn't know what to do with my hands or whatever. But that gets you into it a bit more comfortably than, right, today we're joined by Arno, and this is what we're doing. Yeah,
exactly.
I like that as well.
It's a good time. Yeah. I enjoy it. I enjoy podcasts. I enjoy doing podcasts with cool people. So thank you for being on.
Well, thank you for saying I'm a cool people.
Well, I think a lot of people think you're a cool people.
Okay.
Yeah, although you've done Blood and Water.
Yes.
Okay, so I binge watched Blood and Water yesterday because I needed to make sure I have all the context. Because I don't watch TV that much.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I do a podcast with a guest, I need to make sure that I at least know what's going on.
A little bit, yeah.
So there were some surprises in the show. I mean, we'll get to that. I'm 80% sure you already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I watched the show and I'm like, some of these people are like really good.
Oh,
some of these
okay.
actors are great.
Yeah.
So I go on Instagram and I notice that Your Instagram following is like 50,000 people, or 50 odd, something like that. The other guy who I thought was brilliant, by the way, I think his name is Tabang.
Oh yeah, Tabang, yeah.
He plays Reese or something like that.
So Tabang plays KB.
KB. Someone called him Reese in a fight at one point. I'm very serious.
Oh, really?
I'll show you. But anyway, so he plays KB, and his Instagram following is enormous. Yeah. It's like 500,000 people. Yeah. You know why this is, Arno? I was having a conversation with someone recently.
Because he's so sexy.
No. Oh. It's because black people are so supportive of one another. This is a real thing.
I guess so. It is. Let me just add. So before the show started, so Tabang is brilliant at social media, I think. He puts in a lot of effort in, like, planning his content, sticking to a certain theme. My problem is, like, every second day it's something new. So I've been seeing after the show, my following grew immensely within the first couple of weeks. But then I think the more people see, like, what I'm about, they realize, okay, maybe this is not exactly the content for me, because, like, it changes. Like, the one week I'll do, like, comedy skits, and the next week is, like, just me playing guitar, and then I go on a break for, like, a month or whatever. So I'm constantly changing my audience, but I do agree with you. I think the support that the show had was amazing. Because the story is more sort of oriented towards a black audience, and then bringing in black characters, young black characters that you don't see a lot, that are actually inspiring and people can look up to. That changed the show for those actors and for me as well. I've got this beautiful audience now of like I think it's about 30% Afrikaans people and then 40% black people, and it's like amazing to see how all of that comes together now, and all of that just because of the show.
So the reason why I say this, I was talking to a friend of mine recently, a black friend, and we were talking about how this other girl I know, Zuleika Patel, she's an activist. Yes. She's just launched a children's book. Okay. So it's a book. It's called My Coily Curly Brown Hair, or maybe I've swapped around the two middle words, but it's about black acceptance in children, because there's that whole like thing where when you give young children options of which of these dolls they like most, they usually pick the white doll, and it's a big problem, because what that indicates to us is that even if you're in a household that's not racist, there are biases that come from external influences and so on. So she's now written this book to try and combat that somewhat.
Okay.
So on the other hand, then we've got our mutual friend Reinhard, who's published his book called Soldaat, okay, which was fantastic. Have you read it?
Yes,
it's really good.
Yeah.
And to see the difference in the social media pushing of this book between the two people, because Soldaat is this fantastic like autobiography where this guy goes deep into his issues with drugs, his struggles with addictions and so on. Whereas on the other side, we've got this children's book. Now, definitely not saying that the children's book is not as cool as Soldaat, but it's not different. It's different. It's not as deep, right?
Yeah.
So now I notice on social media that Zuleika's book, the children's book, is being pushed like crazy. She has hundreds and hundreds of friends who are reposting this on Instagram, who are ordering these books like this. They're like
it's going, it's selling,
And then on Reinhardt's side, it looks more normal. It's like a book. You've got people who read, buy it, and so on. And I was speaking to someone about this, and she said to me that this is where concepts like Black Twitter also come from.
Oh, yes.
And this is why she thinks black people, and she brought this up because I was discussing with her your Instagram follow.
Yes.
It's like, this is why the black people on Blood and Water have so many more followers. Is because in the world, black people support one another so hard. And I think it's so great. I think it's so good to see, is because they are so rooting for one another's success. David, who we're going to meet with later, he always says a win for one person of color is a win for all people of color. And that mindset is really like adopted by the community. So I think it's great. But it was interesting to see.
So there's two sides as well, because what we were fearing is that let's say Blood and Water comes out now, and it's not as great as the hype made it out to be. Black Twitter will kill you as well. Like, it was scary for me as well. I really had to go back into my social media history and really moderate everything and make sure that you know, whatever I've been putting out all these years
is acceptable.
And I know myself. I know myself. I knew I wouldn't do anything or say anything that I shouldn't. I'm not a racist at all. I'm not a homophobe. I'm a very open person. But you never know when things can be taken out of context. So we had to go moderate all that stuff just to make sure that there's nothing that will take away from the show just because of what I personally may have done in my past. And in the same sentence as well, is if the show wasn't good and people started ripping it off, then that wouldn't have, you know, we wouldn't have gotten a second season probably, and the show would have tanked, and the trust in the sort of local entertainment industry would have fell as well, because this was a victory for the local entertainment industry. You know, Blood and Water didn't just do well in South Africa, but across the world. You know, Brazil, it was massive, which none of us really understood, but Brazil was one of the major territories. It did well in America, England, you know, across Europe. And I think that also caused the support just to grow even more, and I think a lot of Black people felt pride, you know, because it wasn't the sad story of Black suffering or Black history. It was just a story with beautiful, strong Black characters and Black female characters. Just talking about it again, it like it's exciting. Like you mentioned it, yeah. I also think like it would be nice to like maybe get like 200,000 followers. You know, get that influencer cash. But being part of the show, just at least being part of the story is it's a great honor, and you feel feel blessed, I guess, to still be part of it. But have that big moment happen for Black people in the Black community.
And there were big moments in the show. So it's funny, you said just now that you're not a homophobe. So I just want to tell you this story from me last night. Yeah. So I put Blood and Water on. But my business, Summarize, has been very busy this past week. Okay. We've been selling a lot of notes to engineering students, which is a big first for us. So there's a set that we launched which has been doing ridiculously well. So I'm constantly getting messages while I'm watching Blood and Water, like constantly just having to add new clients and so on. So I look down at my phone and I'm keeping up with the story. Yeah. I'm sitting on the floor on the carpet watching Blood and Water, having supper, and now answering these messages. I'm not paying full attention, but I'm keeping up. So now I'm noticing that your character has a vibe. Like it's very obvious that your character Chris has this gay vibe. Yeah. Okay. Or it was pansexual. So I noticed there's this vibe, but I'm not really like, I don't know how far this is gonna go. Okay. You know? So I take out my phone, I'm busy talking, I'm answering a message from my girlfriend, and I start hearing some conflict on the screen, and I'm paying more attention, and at one point I look down. 3 clients buy the notes at once. So I add, takes a little while, quickly update the financial documents, put my phone down, look up, and there I see Arno Jordan. Jordan. I was telling someone this morning I'm going to make that mistake. And
I'm glad you did. I love Arno Jordan.
There we go, Arno Greeff. So Arno Greeff, full making out with a guy. Yeah. Like, hardcore stuff.
Body
on body, naked, like on the bed,
the real thing,
grinding. It was hectic. Like I did a proper double take. I was so shocked. So my question to you is, what is your actual sexuality? Okay. So, we're gonna get into this. Is it's not a story with
No, it's not that deep. I just wanna. There's a certain sensitivity you need to treat this, I guess. So I am straight, and why I say there's a certain sensitivity you need to treat it with. There's a big question mark that's happening at the moment in the industry. Like, are straight people allowed to be cast and portray gay characters? So my sexual orientation is straight.
I think personally, I reckon. And I'm sure you agree with me because you've gone and done it, is that people should be able to play whoever the hell they want. Because it is acting at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you're pretending.
And a lot of people ask me, like, why did you take on the role? Like, weren't you afraid of that? Being a straight guy, like, aren't people going to say you're gay now or whatever? For me, I became an actor because of characters like that. Like, I want to do stuff that challenges me and broadens my horizons and things that I would never maybe do in my own personal capacity. So the thought of playing a gay or pansexual character, that's exciting to me. That's like, okay, I need to go explore and how can I do this authentic? And, you go on this whole personal journey of, okay, cool, I'm going to make out with a guy now. As much as it was acting, there was still this moment of like, wow, okay, we have to do this now. Okay, let's take off our shirts. Let's put the baby oil on. Let's go. And it's not just the two of you, it's this whole camera crew. And that's what makes acting so exciting, is this that feeling of uneasiness, being uncomfortable, being pushed to your limits. That's what I enjoy about the job. For me, I hope that people didn't find it offensive in any way, and that people can see it for what it is. And like you said, like, you want to play characters, like, you should be allowed to play different types of characters. Yeah.
So I want to ask you something. So I remember there was an interview with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Where he was talking about doing a movie. I think it was like The Shawshank Redemption or something. Okay. And he had to say the N-word a lot in this movie.
Oh, Django
Unchained. There we go. So
yeah.
He had to say the N-word a lot in this movie, and he said that he felt uncomfortable after a while because it was so like against who he is as a person. It's just polar opposites as to play this racist character. And he was talking about how difficult that is. So tell me, as an actor, was this the same sensation whereby it's like, I'm sure you've played roles already that have been so far away from who you are, but this is in the case of sexuality. It's a very action-based thing to do. To play someone who, for example, let's say you are religious and you're playing someone who's not religious, that's a step on its own. But to be a straight guy and then to make out with a guy in a full like sex scene, that's a whole nother thing. Was it more challenging?
So what I gathered from that, and why I think Leonardo would have said that, is it's because of the intention, right? If I had to play a character where I'm racist, I need to say the N-word the whole time, and it's coming out of this hateful place, that would be uncomfortable for me as well after a while, because it starts to affect you. If you're a wholesome person and you're a good person, you don't want to do that. And once again, as much as it is acting, you still need to create that intention of hate and saying these words, and it starts to affect you. Whereas with Chris, although it is an action that makes me uncomfortable, that was weird for me, like in that moment, myself and Dwayne, like we didn't know how to feel about it. It was really uncomfortable, but the intention is good, because you think that, you know what, this is important. This is important for gay people, pansexual people, bi people to see a representation of themselves on screen. So we're busy with important stuff here. It might seem small in the bigger scope of the show, but this could change someone's life, just being able to see themselves. And then it's not a stereotypical character. There's no funny business. It's just people.
It's just normal.
It's just normal people.
I think that's the most important.
And the intention, sorry, just to wrap it up, the intention is pure. That's why I could do it, because it's a display of affection, of love, not of hate. So it doesn't affect you. Physically, it's weird, because physically I'm attracted to women. So when I kiss my girlfriend, that feels good. When I kiss a man, I don't have that physical attraction to a man, so it feels uncomfortable. But mentally, it doesn't challenge me as it would having to play this racist character.
Did you sort of, sometimes when you're doing something, how many takes did you have to do of this?
We probably did about 5 or 6.
5 or 6. Which was the best?
The last one.
Last one.
Yeah.
Great. Is he a good kisser, at least?
To be honest, we sort of just blurred it out. You just go into
remove
autopilot mode.
That's
yeah,
exactly what I was about
yeah.
to say. Is when you're doing things that are monotonous, or when you're doing things that make you uncomfortable, oftentimes you can have almost like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're watching someone else do it,
Yeah.
and you remove yourself from that situation. I wondered to what extent that was sort of I don't want to call it a coping mechanism, because it's not like you went through trauma. But
No. But it's still like I said, your body doesn't feel natural in that state because of physical attraction is physical attraction, you know? So you need to get yourself to a space of like not getting in there. But it's the same when I do a sex scene or a love scene with a female actress and I've got a girlfriend at home. Like, even though I'm attracted to women, I can't be getting attached in that scenario. You need to remove yourself from that. As soon as it crosses the boundary of physical touch, you need to remove yourself, whether it's with a guy or a girl, because you start, your mind is a fickle thing, and if you don't program it in a way that it understands what the situation is, then you're going to blur the lines of what is reality now and what is acting. I love my girlfriend, and it's weird for me now to do scenes where I have to make out with women and be with them, but I need to get myself into that state so that I can do my job and do it truthfully. But you need to find a coping mechanism, and mine is, as it was in Blood and Water as well, to remove yourself from the situation. You go into this state of heavy focus for however long it is, but then as soon as you leave set, as soon as they say cut, you forget about everything. And honestly, I remember glimpses of what happened, but it becomes a blur.
It's like you weren't even there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When you started filming Blood and Water, did you realize how big it would end up being?
I don't think anyone did, no. Because so the first African original Netflix show, the first show that Netflix came to make and produce in South Africa was Queen Sona. And Blood and Water got picked up just after that, and we started shooting. So after we had shot the first season, Queen Sona hadn't come out yet. So no one really had an idea of what is this actually going to mean? What are the shows going to do? And we saw Queen Sona come out, and that did quite well. And then it was time for Blood and Water to come out. But now you're thinking, if it does well in South Africa, great. Maybe someone around the world sees it. And that first week, it's like we get all these screenshots of like #1 in Switzerland or France or England and Trinidad and Tobago, Brazil. And I've got people messaging me in Portuguese from Brazil. You're like, oh, wow, okay, so this actually far exceeded our expectations. So no, you see it's Netflix, you see it's a Netflix show, but in your mind, it's just like, just another day at the office, just the same job. It wasn't the same job. It was quite different. Yeah.
I see. I think it must have been really exciting as well.
It was
to see how well it did. I'm a big fan of, we'd call them foreign shows or international shows.
Yes.
Elite.
Oh yeah.
Elite, big fan of Elite, and the best one is House of Paper or La Casa de Papel.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, dude,
They're
you
good.
gotta watch. Oh, it's the best. It's
Okay.
better than Elite. It's the best.
Okay.
It's got some of the same actors. I think 2 or 3 of them are the same.
Okay.
No, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like
So that is at a whole nother level.
yeah, but I mean
Yeah.
that La Casa de Papel ended up being one of Netflix's most successful shows ever.
I could think.
And so there's a documentary on Netflix which is called La Casa de Papel: The Phenomenon.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's about so initially these actors who were on the show, they were not extremely famous.
Yeah.
This show was being made for a free-to-air channel in Spain only.
Wow. Okay.
So they made the show. They made the first season, which is amazing, by the way. And they made the second season, and it was not that successful, by
Yeah.
what I can tell. Like in Spain, it wasn't crazy successful.
Okay.
It was, in fact, they said that they weren't going to do a season 3. So these actors were kind of, they're like, somewhat famous.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not super
Not
famous.
that level, yeah.
So while they were wrapping up season 2, and they were shooting like the last couple episodes, they got notified that by their producers or whatever that Netflix was picking this up because Netflix wanted to produce an expansive international catalog.
Yes.
So they were picking up this show as one of the shows that would be on this catalog. But they, in the documentary, they say like they didn't care. They didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, okay, we'll be on Netflix. But they thought it was just going to be another way for the same people to be watching.
Exactly, yeah.
So it comes out on Netflix and it is huge.
Yeah.
Like it's immediately these people go from having like 10,000 Instagram followers to 6 million, like overnight.
Yeah.
It was crazy. This global phenomenon. People are getting like tattoos of the characters on their bodies.
Wow.
People are going absolutely crazy. They say that by the time they came back to shoot season 3, previously, if they booked out a place for filming, they'd be the only people there.
Yeah.
Obviously, because no one really cares about,
And now it's a whole different
so
story.
they rock up to shoot season 3 and there's like crowds of people standing around set. They say they literally had to, at the end of each day shooting, go and just greet the fans for an hour and like talk to people and sign things. And Spanish people, I mean, these people could have watched a show the whole time. Now it's on Netflix and it's a big story. But it's an incredible
But
show.
it's probably also, so as far as I know, Spanish is the most spoken language in the world.
I think
So
you're probably
so
right. It's either
Mandarin
Spanish or
is second,
yeah.
but Spanish and a lot of people don't know it is the most spoken language. And I'm guessing Mandarin is like a close battle.
It'll be close.
But that also explains like for them just to put that on Netflix, you've already got the biggest part of the
big
world
audience,
actually. Yeah,
yes.
everyone's always thinking English,
But also keep in mind, I mean, I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah,
I love
but you
the
can
show.
watch
I watch
it.
it with
Yeah,
subtitles.
yeah.
People, by the way, who watch foreign shows with dubbed audio,
Yeah.
you are monsters. The worst. You are scum. You are the worst people ever.
You know what? One of the most exciting days of my life was when I found out there's a guy in Brazil who's dubbing my voice in Portuguese. I never thought that would happen for me in my life, and that was quite cool. But I also can't do that. Not exactly the same, but pretty convincing. But he does a lot of the sort of Netflix dubbing. So
I see.
I think
Okay.
he's got a couple of the actors from Elite or Elite. I don't know. Yeah,
You'll probably do some of them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing those as well.
No, but it's when you watch a show that's dubbed,
Yeah,
you lose so much.
Yeah.
Like you lose about 60 to 70% of everything because acting is body language and it's voice.
Yeah.
You lose voice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gone.
Yeah.
Because the person who's shooting it, they're not there. They're not on set.
Exactly,
They don't get it. So
Yeah.
they're like doing the line and
the intention isn't
they
there,
don't get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I mean, I once walked in on my brother watching La Casa on dubbed in English.
Luckily,
And
you
this-
walked in on that, and
Not on a blood and
Yeah,
water type situation. No, so I come around the corner and now there's a scene going on where it's a fight scene. It's intense. I mean, people are shooting at each other. It's very hectic. This woman's being dragged. She's just
And
been
now the
shot.
dubbing
She's
for-
being dragged. And in the Spanish audio, it's so intense. Like
Yeah.
they're screaming, terrified. They don't know what they're going to do. They are stuck. Their plan's not going to, it's not going to according to what they decided to do. And then the English dub is like, no, don't.
Yeah.
Pulls around, pull her in.
You lose
we have to
all
save
the
her
power.
life. And it's like,
So
lost everything.
as when you shoot a series, chances are good that somewhere you're going to have to do ADRs, and that's augmented or automatic dialogue replacement. So that happens. Let's say we're shooting in a very busy space, Mojo Market in Cape Town. A lot of people talking, a lot of noise. The audio you capture is not clear. So then afterwards, you need to go record that in a studio. So you stand there, you've got the scene playing out, and you need to match your voice exactly and the words and just to get clear audio. I haven't been able to master that. So I can immediately see when I watch the show where I did the ADRs, because even for me, trying to recreate my own voice in that setting is impossible, or I just find it very difficult. Because as an actor as well, when you're in a certain environment, you pick up on what's happening. So now it's noisy around you. So now you change the way, like if I had to whisper to you, yeah, we do it like this. But now I need to whisper in this massive place and you need to sort of shout, whisper. It's difficult to recreate that. So as soon as you
even have to do it in a different language, and they don't maybe even understand the context of the scene, you're going to lose most of the emotion. It just, it happens.
It is what it is. But just watch with subtitles.
Easy.
It's
Yeah.
Can
I
you-
prefer that as well.
Exactly. Like, can you read? Yeah. And you can watch the show.
Well, that's maybe the problem. Yeah.
Well, I think most people who have Netflix can read.
Yeah.
Because you'd have a hard time traversing Netflix if you couldn't read.
Probably, yeah.
But my brother as well, he's actually one of those. I said to him, "You monster, what are you doing?
You're just ruining it."
He looked at me, he's like, the show sucks. Like, of course it sucks.
Yeah.
You're watching half of it,
Yeah.
you know? And I said, just watch it with subtitles. He says, I don't want to read my show. It's like, just read the show.
Yeah.
Man. Just read it. Yeah.
The never-ending question, huh? That or people who complain about pineapple on pizza, you never get...
Pineapple on pizza is good.
Good.
I'm a
cool.
fan.
Okay,
Are
we
you
end the
into
discussion there. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't even have to go further with it. It's fine. It's
but
perfect.
people,
nice.
but apparently
Don't open it up. Don't open it up.
Let's open this Pandora's box. So I'm a big fan of like authentic things. I'm a big fan of keeping things like authentic. So I'll give you an example. So when having spaghetti, I love making spaghetti bolognese, and I do it exactly as the ancient Italian recipe with the fresh homegrown basil, and I do the whole thing. My girlfriend though, her household breaks spaghetti in half when they make it, because it cooks faster and it's easier to eat. Heresy. Like, I would never break spaghetti in half. What disrespect for that
to the Italians,
to the entire Italian nation to break spaghetti in half. But then, so I've always been this guy who's like, pineapple and pizza, really good. Try it, eat it, it's great. Then I found out that the Italians hate that.
Oh, really?
It's like the heresy.
Well, it's probably more an American.
Yeah, it's an American invention.
Thing, yeah.
They don't do it that way. So now I thought, I can't be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be the guy who says, mamma mia,
you
cannot break the pasta.
Exactly. That's why you shouldn't have brought it up. You should have just left it.
I'll get there someday. I'll find a way to have both things. And have an argument to substantiate both sides.
You choose your battles.
But you gotta be careful who you offend. It's like you were saying earlier with you don't want to offend communities and so on. It's a difficult. But I've said this before on the podcast. People have called me naive, but I really think cancel culture is on its way out. I'm a big advocate for saying that there are so many actors who have just made themselves immune from cancel culture just by ignoring it. People who we now know cannot be cancelled. People like Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais can say whatever the hell he wants in a comedy special. He has made the worst jokes ever, and people want to cancel him, but he's immune. I mean, he can't be cancelled.
So that opens up an interesting discussion, because so I love Ricky Gervais, and as soon as you go into that comedy realm, I mean, I don't know if you've seen any stuff from Jimmy Carr.
I love Jimmy Carr.
So it's difficult once you go into that comedy world, because comedians are there to make jokes about everyday life and the sort of the absurdity of life, and we need to admit that in a lot of instances cancel culture is absurd. Someone did something 10 years ago and now all of a sudden they're being cancelled. It's like, surely I've grown.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you think about the whole Kevin Hart thing.
Did you see the documentary?
Yes. And there again, now we're talking about comedians. Ricky Gervais can say anything. Jimmy Carr, Kevin Hart said something 10 years ago, and then the whole fiasco unfolded in front of him. So I'm not sure. I hope it is because it's difficult to. I need to constantly think as well about what am I putting out, what am I saying? Because, for instance, so my home language is Afrikaans, right? I'm not that used to vocalizing myself in English, and while we're doing this, while I'm talking, I need to think of like whatever you're saying, just make sure that you get it right, because 5 seconds of this podcast can be taken, blown out of context, and my career could be done, and that's a scary thought.
and I'm sitting here with the most beautiful intentions and trying to spread a good message, but 5 seconds of not being focused can cost you so much. So I hope it is going out, but I'm still very weary of like what I'm doing and what I'm saying.
So the people who don't know, so Kevin Hart has this documentary on Netflix, and what happened was he achieved enormous success in the past few years. I think partially due to the Jumanji movies that have put him into the acting space as well. People like, people who never watch comedy are now seeing him on. And then also his success on social media with his comedy specials. He sold out an arena doing his shows. So as soon as your scope opens up like that, then you're under big public pressure. So people went back and they found a comedy show that he did when he was, I think, 19. He was very young. Like, he looks different. He's very skinny, very small. Just now, it was probably his third or fourth show ever. He was just in like a nightclub or something, or a bar. And he does this routine where he says, one of my worst fears is if my son were to be gay. Okay? Now, this was recorded it was probably like the 90s, probably.
I think early 2000s, probably.
Maybe early 2000s. So it was recorded a long time ago. So he did this sketch, or this bit, but it's not what the show's about. So he does this bit, and then he moves on to some other things. But this clip, it's like, I don't know, say just 5 seconds of him saying, my worst fear is that my son would be gay. That clip got a lot of traction on social media.
Well, I think it went on with him saying like you'll kick him like a dog or something as well. Which, as I'm saying, it sounds horrible as well. Terrible. But when you watch it, then
it's about context as well. You have to remember, people at that point in time, being gay was not as normal as it is now. You didn't really know, like, people didn't know gay people. People didn't have first-hand experiences with that sort of shit. So this picks up some traction. Kevin Hart sees this and he makes an apology on Twitter. He says, I am aware of this clip that's going around. That's not who I am anymore. I've moved on. This was like 15 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. It's over. I don't feel that way anymore. I'm sorry. Okay? But obviously, this wasn't the end of the story. People wanted him cancelled. People wanted Kevin Hart to never be allowed to perform again. They wanted him to lose all of his contracts with Disney and all these big companies. And he then made it way worse by refusing to apologize a second time. Because someone told him on a show or something, they said he should apologize again. He said, I've already apologized. I'm not going to apologize for this again. It's just blowing it up more than it needs to be blown up. So over time, we all love Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's great. But there was this big group of people, or a group of people who appeared very large on social media who wanted him cancelled. And he just sort of said, no, like, I'm not going to be cancelled. I'm going to put out another show. I'm going to go do another movie. And Kevin Hart, arguably right now, is bigger than he's ever been. So take Kevin Hart, he's in the comedy space, but he's also an actor. So now things start to be a little bit grey. Because now we're saying, okay, previously this immunity to cancel culture was reserved for comedians. But Kevin Hart's an actor too. Ricky Gervais is an actor too now. How do we, are actors immune from this now? Which is a big thing, because actors are the people who get cancelled the most. Like, if Kevin Hart can say, my worst fear would be if my son were to be gay, and then do Jumanji 2 with no problems with Dwayne Johnson. If someone else who's not a comedian, if a tweet were to come out from 10 years earlier, like James Gunn is a director, right? So he did Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. Then he got famous, or more famous. People found this tweet from him from 2004 or whatever, where he said, he made a joke about pedophilia. Like, he made a tweet from the perspective of a pedophile, but it was like he had 6 followers. It wasn't a thing. So he then gets fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Then the Guardians of the Galaxy cast, Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, all of them, Vin Diesel, they said, we're not going to do Guardians 2 if he's not directing it. Right there, he gets brought back. So now he's off the hook. Kevin Hart's off the hook. Now we need to start asking ourselves, okay, what what puts someone off the hook? Is it if someone vouches for them? If someone we like vouches for someone we don't, are they off the hook? Is it time that's passed? When do we say, okay, it's off the hook? And I think that it's that question, that grey space that's been created with people like Kevin Hart, James Gunn. The fact that they got off means that anyone can get off, which has sort of delegitimized the entire movement. And I think that for that reason, it's on its way out.
Like, as I was listening to you, what came up is the fact that if you don't have people to vouch for you, then it's going to be a rocky road.
Like Amber Heard.
So that's coming out now, because that has been so shady, that whole case, and there's so much support for Johnny Depp, and you might never know what really happened, but if you look at him and what he's done and the type of person he's been most of his life,
if you listen to the recordings as well,
all of this, the evidence that's coming out, the people close to them, there's enough people vouching for Johnny Depp through that. With Kevin Hart, there was enough people eventually vouching for him as well. You know, celebrities coming out, people with their own form of power and influence. If you look closely to South Africa, so there was a girl who entered Miss SA last year.
Yes, I heard this.
So I'm not going to say her name, but that came out. She had tweets from when she was like 17, 16 years old.
Tweets,
yeah. And let's start off the thing by, sure, she might have had a couple of years to grow and to, you know, open up her mind and learn more. But then there were enough people from her school and people that know her that came through and didn't vouch for her, but actually said that she is a bad person. And that just discredited her completely. So I think that is sort of the key, is that you've proven to enough people that you are good, and yes, you did something stupid when you were 10 years younger, but you have grown from there. Hopefully, if anything were ever if someone had to use something against me, enough people would be able to say, you know what, actually, he's not that bad.
Not that bad.
Yeah, he's not that bad.
I think that you need to decide how you want to go about things.
Yeah.
Because, for example, 2 or 3 episodes ago, I did with a... So this is what happened. I was cancelled.
Oh.
So on the meme page, I started chatting with some people about this new thing that was gaining some traction on the internet, which is called the super straight movement.
Okay.
And basically, just in a nutshell, there was this group of people who did not want to be called transphobic because they said they wouldn't date a trans person. So their whole argument was, why can people within the LGBTQ community, why can they decide exactly precisely who they will and will not date, but we are told who we're supposed to date, which I think is a flawed argument in the first place. But anyway, so they started this thing called super straight, which is basically, or also super gay and super lesbian came along, which is basically this idea that you only date people who were born the biologically opposite sex.
Okay.
Or if you're super gay, then you only date people who were born biologically the same sex.
Yes.
So now there was this big argument because the trans community was like, hold on, this is bullshit. That's not a new sexuality. That's just transphobia, like plain and simple. Then people were like, hold on, who the hell are you guys to decide who gets to make new sexualities and who don't? Or whatever that's what we identify as. And it became like a big
thing,
shit show. So I dipped my toe into these waters.
Okay.
And I put it up on my meme page.
Risky business.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I want to know the answers to these questions. So I posted on my meme page. I'm having a discussion with people. And I'm reposting people's opinions. I'm setting up polls for people to vote on their thoughts. So now the University of Pretoria's LGBTQ community, they post and they say that the discussion was transphobic and that people should report my page for hate speech.
Okay.
So my first thought is, okay, I should definitely have these people on the podcast. So I invited the chairman of their group, their organization. I invited him on. and there were some trans people there as well.
Okay.
And we had a chat about this, and I think we made some really good progress. Like we had some chats. The comments did not agree with me. There were a lot of comments on YouTube where people were really frustrated with both sides of the argument. There was this one girl, she comments, I'll never forget this for as long as I live. She comments, now referring to me, she said, this guy's head is so far up his ass that he can't even hear what they're saying. And she said that the whole chat was like a ruse for me to get my oppressive views across. And then people were disagreeing with her, and there was this whole argument. But anyway, the point is, this is a topic, this topic and others that are controversial are topics I talk about on the podcast quite often. So let's say that in 5 years or 10 years, things have gone the other way and changed, then now you can be cancelled just for questioning or criticizing or asking questions surrounding these topics. In that, in I almost said 2025 as if that's 10 years away.
Wow,
holy shit. Okay,
that's 2031.
If that is the reality then, and someone were to go back to, JC Steyn's first couple podcast episodes. I mean, how do I respond then? Saying, it was a discussion. So there's a piece, I'd like to think that I'll handle it in a certain way. I mean, I don't know how it's actually going to go, but there's this piece in Ricky Gervais's new show, Humanity. Where he's talking about cancel culture and he's talking about being cancelled. And he says that when he sometimes he likes to freak out his wife by saying to his wife that he is going to say things way worse than what he's actually going to say.
I remember that
on the way,
bit,
he'd say to them on the way to the Golden Globes, he would be in the car with his wife and he'd tell her, I'm thinking of opening up with this line. What do you think? And he'll read her something that's so terrible, like he would never say it, but he just wants to psych her up a bit. And she would start to freak out and be like, no, Rick, you can't say that. Like, are you crazy? You can't say that. And he has this line that will stick with me forever where he says, his wife's name is Jane. And he says to her, Jane, relax. They're not coming to the house. And I think that's so important. Joe Rogan has discussed this at length, talking about how if you're being hated online, you can escape that by just turning your phone off for a few hours and just abstaining from contributing to the shit show that is going on in your comment section. And I think that that's really valuable. And I hope that if either one of us were to someday get in a situation where we're under fire for something we said years ago, that we would handle it that maturely and be able to distance ourselves from the conversation and be able to, like Kevin Hart, apologize once and stand on that rock and say, I don't feel that way anymore, but I'm also not going to, be pathetic about this. I'm going to take control of this narrative.
So the difficult thing is like I can deal with online bullying, cyberbullying, people not liking what I put out, right? I'll switch off my phone. And I know they're not coming to the house. I'm not worried about that. But for me, the immediate thing would be, even though it wasn't so bad, I am a representative now of Netflix, of Gambit Films, of Blood and Water, of the shows I've been with. So that has direct implications for them. Doesn't matter if things still need to be investigated. We saw it with Johnny Depp. Like he had to be fired from all these different projects he was working on, regardless of what the evidence has showed, just because of all the negative press. Johnny Depp, luckily, was worth $200-300 million at that point.
He could find it. Yeah.
He can afford it. For me, I got the opportunity of a lifetime to be a young white actor on an African Netflix show. Like, if you look at Blood and Water, there's 2 or 3 white characters, males. I'm so fortunate to be an Afrikaans guy, a straight Afrikaans guy, playing an English pansexual character on the show, right? I don't want to mess that up. I really don't want to mess that up. So, and besides just that opportunity, there's financial implications with all of that. The industry is so small in South Africa that if I had to mess up, there's 15 other guys who look exactly like me that can fill the spot. and people are not going to be calling on me again. So in that sense, they do come to the house because they're taking away my TV, they're taking away my couches, my car. If I can't afford my bond, like they're coming to the home, coming to my house. And that's a scary thought. Like I went through quite a bit of anxiety just before the release of Blood and Water. It's like over analyzing your behavior for your whole life. It's like, what if I did something when I was 7, you know? And then you go into the context of, I grew up in a like conservative Afrikaans background, and you know, that was like the early 2000s, and people are still adjusting to the new ways of South Africa, and apartheid is still like heavily in people's minds, and people don't know how to adjust to this new world of like, we're living together now, and I'm just a young little boy, and I'm just listening to what my father's saying or my family's saying. What if I did something then, and that other child or whatever, they remember it and they bring it up now, and my life is over.
Yeah.
Well, not my life's not over, but the implications of that is so immense. I mean, my dream has been for a long while to be an actor and to grow up into new opportunities and be on an international show, Netflix, Blood and Water, here we go. For that to be taken away now that's devastating, you know. And I don't have $200-300 million that can sort of, you know, put a band-aid on that
cushion for that
exactly
issue, yeah. I see. That's an interesting point of view.
It's a scary thing. Like I said, like I put out a lot of stupid stuff on my Instagram, and like I am quirky as well and whatever. Not everyone's gonna like that, but and I can take that hate. But as soon as it starts to impact my character and people start questioning that, like is he maybe this or is he that? It becomes a scary topic to dive into.
Did you get any backlash after Blood and Water for playing a pansexual character?
Luckily, most of it was positive, which was amazing. Like I got quite a lot of support and people messaging saying, you know, thank you for representing the community, but also doing it in a sort of normal way. Not playing a stereotypical sort of gay or pansexual character.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier. I sort of started on that train. Is that I think the most valuable thing you can do is to make it a very normal thing.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to talk about it. We don't need to make, like you said, stereotypes don't need to be there. It can just be a character who happens to be X. You know?
So I don't know if you know about it. So Modern Family, you've got the gay couple Cam and Mitch, right?
Yeah, and one of them is gay in real life. And the
yes.
other one isn't.
Yeah. Which is funny because Cam, who plays the big queen, is actually the straight guy. They wanted to make him this eccentric gay. So what they did with the show is there was this big question of like why Cam and Mitch never kiss in front of other people and why they never kiss on screen, right? And instead of creating a whole storyline about this big kiss, there's this one scene where literally they're standing in the background, and that's the first time they kiss. And I think it's like in season 3 or 4, and that immediately creates this feeling of like we don't have to put it in. You know, we don't have to make a big thing out of it because it's just normal. It's just people go about. Why create a whole episode around a kiss when you can just fill it in because that's how life is, you know?
Exactly. I get you.
And Blood and Water also sort of had that approach of like, we're not going to create the stereotypical characters. It's just the kids you see when you're at school, you know? The people you know in your sort of social circle. And that's why it was great to be part of it, because I think if it went the other way, there would have been a lot of backlash and misrepresentation of the community.
Yeah, I think so in really like recent context, there's this show that's been really popular now. Do you like Marvel movies?
So not really. No.
Not really?
No.
You're missing out.
Let me state this. It's not that I don't like them, I just haven't really seen them.
Oh, okay.
So
I see. Okay.
It's not that I have anything against them. I just haven't given myself the opportunity
fair.
to
well,
watch
there are
them.
like 23, 24 of them.
There's
now.
a lot, yeah.
I'm actually currently watching through all of them with my girlfriend.
Okay.
We just watched the second Avengers movie, so we're about maybe a smidge over halfway or around there. But so there's a show that's now gaining some real positive reviews, which is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is the title of the show. It's on Disney Plus, and it follows so there's some spoilers upcoming for people who haven't seen Endgame. So at the end of Endgame, Captain America hands his shield over to Sam, who's played by Anthony Mackie, and Sam, his superhero name is am I now really going to forget? Falcon. I just said it 2 seconds ago. So Falcon, he hands his shield over to Falcon. So the story of Falcon and the Winter Soldier is Falcon, he is struggling to come to terms with, taking the shield. He doesn't really know what that means. So he decides to just hand the shield over to the government. The government gives it to another guy who's now going to be Captain America, but this guy is a bit of a dick. So there's a lot of conflict. And eventually now Sam gets the shield back, and he realizes that he is now the new Captain America. And that Steve Rogers, the old Captain America, gave it to him for a reason. It's not because he was just the guy there. He gave it to Sam because he felt like Sam was the best guy to do the job. And immediately I see this article where they say Captain America is black. What does that mean? Okay? And I'm just thinking, like, just shut up. Like, that's not it at all. You're looking at it the wrong way, because now you're racializing an issue where there was no race. Like, he got the shield because he's Captain America's best mate and he's the best man for the job. He's Sam Wilson. That is the character. Sam Wilson got the shield. It's not that a black man got the shield. That's not the idea, And now the problem is, as soon as you mention it like that, as soon as you phrase it like that, now you're going to alienate a lot of people who were just on the cusp of accepting it, like you said, in a normal context. Like, if we don't make it a big thing, then maybe some of these people who would have a problem with it if it were phrased like that, maybe they can slip into it softly and later catch themselves really enjoying this new black Captain America and thinking, wow, actually, maybe I should reassess my biases or whatever. But if you want to go and like shove it in people's faces, now people are forced to pick a side very quickly before they're allowed to really experience it. I think that treating it as a very normal thing is the best way to go.
It's just so I don't think people are ever going to stop making a thing about race. And especially now with these things happening, like Hollywood actually changing its agenda to be more inclusive and to create more opportunities, it garners a lot of attention, because for so long it didn't happen. So there's always going to be articles, there's always going to be the questions about it and people making a thing about it, because for so long they didn't even have the opportunity to be in the door. So now they want to talk about what's happening when you go through the door and what's happening in the room and what else is there. So like I said, I don't think that's going to end soon. And unfortunately, that does eventually take away from just the story and just people just watching it for watching it, because you'll watching the show and getting into it, and now all of a sudden there's this weird debate happening about why is he black or why is he white and all of this, and when are we getting this and when is that happening, and you just sort of start to lose interest. And it's not fun anymore. It's not just a show anymore. It's not a story anymore. And maybe that's part of the sort of healing process. Maybe that needs to happen for people to get more used to it. Something like, maybe a stupid example, but Afrikaans films, right? So we've gotten used to, when you watch an American film or TV show, when they swear, right? It doesn't feel hard on the ear. You're used to it, right? So now there's a difficult thing with Afrikaans film to have people swearing. And even for me, I swear a lot. Like, I swear about 3 out of the 5 words in each sentence I say is a swear word. But even me watching an Afrikaans film, hearing them swear, it's like, oh, whoa, what are you doing now? Because we're not used to it.
Sounds harsh, yeah.
It sounds harsh, but when I talk to my Afrikaans friends or my parents or whatever, like, swear words are flying and like it's normal. But because you're not used to it, because you haven't haven't become accustomed to it, it takes a bit of time to get used to it. And I'm finding now when I rewatch those films, it's not as bad anymore. And maybe that, like I said, it's going to take time for people to get used to that and not make it a thing anymore. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
In fact, I agree with you. I'm only just now thinking about this for the first time, but it's the same for me. When I hear people swearing in Afrikaans,
Yeah.
especially on TV, it sounds harsh.
Yeah.
It sounds hard.
Look, Afrikaans is harsh, and when we swear, it's like, fok. It's not like fuck. It's fok. You know. There's a lot of passion into it, and that's why I'm a very passionate guy. So when I start getting into the zone, I start swearing because I want to get my point across, and it's harsh and it's big, and I want to make sure you hear what I'm saying. And that's the way we speak. So maybe that's part of it, but it's conditioning people, and conditioning has got a weird connotation to it. But you need to condition people. You need to lead them in slowly so they can get used to that. Especially now with like the Afrikaans content that Cakenet puts out, it's transitioning from what the old school used to like to like how are we catering for younger people, but it's a bit of a struggle to find a middle ground where older people can relate to the content and enjoy it and understand it, and it makes sense for younger people and they actually enjoy it, because people my age can't relate to the content of old that used to be produced in Afrikaans, and now but the stuff they're trying to make as well is also not really hitting the mark. So there's a big shift happening at the moment, and that's that sort of sense of conditioning that's happening.
Yeah. How involved do you see yourself being in Afrikaans film moving forward, or do you think that Blood and Water is sort of a stepping stone for you to move into a more international market?
To be honest with you, it's been a difficult thing for me to juggle. I spent the first 5 years of my career building this loyal Afrikaans, platform and social channels, and building a name for myself, and reached quite a high point in the sort of Afrikaans world. And then I sort of disappeared a bit and started doing more behind the scenes stuff, and then Blood and Water came along. And when you build up a loyal Afrikaans platform, they want you to be a loyal Afrikaans person, right? Because there's a massive sense at the moment of Afrikaans people fighting for the pride of their culture and their language, and I'm part of that as well. I love my language and I love being Afrikaans and the sort of the good parts of the history. But it's also a tricky time in South Africa to be a white Afrikaans male. And now Blood and Water comes along, and I'm opened up to this, first of all, English industry, but I'm opened up to a black market as well. And that's a very exciting prospect, because obviously the audience is a lot bigger. There's a lot more opportunities possibly there. But now on my Instagram, I can't put out a video that's just Afrikaans, because I'm alienating half of my audience. And when I go English only, it's difficult for the Afrikaans people to understand and relate to that.
To engage in the same way that they used to.
And I haven't found an answer. I honestly haven't, because what I've found now is, so after Blood and Water, we spoke about the following. So I gained about 30,000 followers within a month, and it was predominantly young black people. And it grew to a certain point to 54,000 followers, and it stayed there. And now I'm finding it's actually just declining. Every day I lose about 150 followers. So I don't know who to cater for anymore. And it's difficult for me to sort of build my following in the Afrikaans industry. And that makes it difficult for producers to cast me in a movie or a show, because if I don't have a loyal following, those people aren't going to go watch the movie. They can't put me in a lead role if I don't have people that are actually going to be willing to pay for a ticket. And on the other side, there's very limited opportunities for
white male actors, younger actors in South Africa. And it's not a political thing or whatever. It's just because of the context of the content that's being created. You know, the biggest part of our English industry caters for the black audience, which is, you know, 85, 90% of the country. So it makes sense. But for you as an actor, it becomes a challenge because there's only so few roles and you can't play all of them. And where do you fit in now? Like, where are you now? And besides all of that, now you're a Netflix actor. You're no longer just an SABC or a CakeNet, or you're now a Netflix actor. And with that becomes this prejudice of like, you probably just got paid $1 million to be in this thing and you just bought 6 Range Rovers and like life has changed for you, where people don't understand it didn't really. Like, it's the same level. We're working with the same kind of budgets. Yeah, production gets a bit more money, but you're still in the same category in terms of your payment. And yeah, like I said, I haven't found the answer. It's a very difficult space for me still to figure out what's going to happen, because I don't know how many more Netflix shows are going to come along where I'll be casted in, because now I'm part of Blood and Water. You know, when another show comes, there needs to be opportunities for other actors. I can't be playing in all of those. And I've been auditioning for like some SABC stuff, but it's very small, minor roles. And at this point in my career, that's not really something I want to take on. You know, if I'm going to take on characters now, it needs to be for bigger projects and bigger characters and something that's going to be of value for me, but also that's going to expand my, you know, broaden my career and expose me to bigger audiences. So yeah, it's interesting times. It's interesting. And now the question comes in like, okay, but why don't you go to America? Well, going to America is a very expensive thing. Like, people don't think about, you need to get a visa, a working visa that side. And, you know, you need to pay for lawyers to get there. You need to prove that you are of value and will provide value to the industry that side. Staying in Los Angeles, it's one of the most expensive cities in the world to live in. I went in and did a quick estimation. So for me to go live in Los Angeles for 6 months, I need about 700 to 800,000, and that's living on the bare minimum, just barely getting by, and you're not guaranteed that it's going to work out there, you know. So I'm at a very interesting stage in my career where like I've built up and I've reached highs, and I feel like I've made a success out of being an actor in the country and doing great projects, but I'm not sure what the road ahead looks like.
That must be terrifying.
It is. I've been able to deal well with it now and sort of make peace with it, but there was a time last year while we were shooting season 2 of Blood and Water where I was starting to almost lose my mind, where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore. Where's this going? Because as soon as we wrap up with season 2, it's like, what's happening next? Because the little projects I auditioned for, you know, I might have gotten the role, but then they say, no, it's only for like 2 episodes, 3 episodes. It's like, okay, no, I can't do that. Sorry. And it's not like an ego thing. It's just that I'm.
Yeah, you need to set the trajectory.
Exactly. We can't regress now. It needs to keep going up. But have I reached the ceiling?
I hope not. That would be terrifying.
The more I started to think about it, I think I might have.
I don't think so, to be honest. And can I tell you why? I think
in a South African context.
Yeah, I think that you, having established a relationship with Netflix,
yeah,
I think that is the greatest asset you could ever have, and I don't think you should underestimate the value of that.
Okay.
Because it puts your name on the list to get into the door. It's like you said earlier, if Netflix, so Blood and Water is a big success.
Yeah.
If Netflix decides, okay, we're going to do another show, it's sort of like, we'll rather go with the guy we know, especially with international shows. Like I was telling you earlier, Elite is fantastic.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of the actors in Elite are in La Casa as well.
Yeah.
They played, you know, La Casa was first, Elite came later.
Yeah.
So think about it this way. These people were on La Casa. It was a free-to-watch show in Spain. They got picked up by Netflix after they had shot, this wasn't even a Netflix production.
Yeah.
Netflix bought the show to put on Netflix. Now they get cast for a Netflix original, which is Elite. And now the one girl, Esther Exposito, she's gone on to play in another thing called, I don't know the Spanish name, but it's called Somebody Has to Die.
I saw.
She's going to play on for another thing. And you know, now these actors, I don't know how their English is. I've never heard them speak in English, but
possibly they can.
They could have opened the door to, because now they're very well known. Can they? I mean, obviously, it's going to start out with being typecast. They're going to be the Spanish guy who plays on the English show. But you open new doors.
From there.
So you know what would be so cool? In the Marvel movies that you said that you hate, in those movies, there's a character called Ulysses Claw.
Okay.
He's a villain type character, and he's a smuggler. He's a South African character. He's being played by. I can never recall names.
Copley?
No. The actor's not South African.
Okay.
The actor's from Australia or New Zealand. He's the same guy who played Smeagol in Lord of the Rings.
Oh yes.
And he played.
I know what you're talking about.
Played the main ape in Planet of the Apes.
No,
He's fantastic, but he has the South African accent in the show.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing more and more. I don't know if you've been picking up this. South African villains are becoming pretty popular.
Yes.
People like our accent for some reason. They think it sounds a bit. You know? I reckon that you should start popping your CV in for those types of things. Because you've got the accent more authentically, and you can even play it harder if you want. You can do like the proper Afrikaans accent. You know, you can do the full all the way through. And you look the part. You look like an African guy. So I think you could find a niche there and then work outwards from that niche. So I don't think you should worry that you've closed the door just yet. Maybe you've closed the door on the type of character you're used to playing, but I think that Netflix is a door to opening yourself up to some characters you never thought you would play.
I guess that's the difficult thing is like you know, being ambitious oftentimes comes with being impatient as well, because so I'm 26 now, right? For the past 5-6 years of being an actor, things have happened quite fast. And when I look back at things, it's like I came a long way, and I'm fortunate to be sitting here where I've done more things than I believe a lot of actors who try in South Africa and artists, they try to do, they never get to this point. And let me just state that again, I'm very fortunate, and I know that. But I've always been competitive, you know. It's not just that you want more, it's you want to become better. You want to be part of bigger projects. And having to now sort of wait it out and see what's happening. So part of Blood and Water, the good thing that came out of it is I got a manager in America, right? And there's been some auditions that's coming through and things I'm trying out, but it's difficult to do it from here. Eventually you want to be that side. You need to meet people. It's a different industry there where you really have to go and drink coffee with all the producers, directors, because if they don't know you, they're not going to invite you for an audition. In South Africa, the auditions are sent out to everyone. So, you know, everyone auditions for the same projects. Over there, you are handpicked for most of the projects, unless it's some sort of cheap ad that they're running at 3 o'clock on a Sunday morning. So you need to get that side. And then also with the auditions this side, you're auditioning, but then you have to state, do you have the documents? Are you living in America at the moment or whatever? So at the point, it's frustrating, you know, because
you're like halfway through
it's
the
like,
door, but you're not fully in.
Exactly. And it's now waiting to see what other projects on Netflix bringing this up, because remember, they're not just doing local content. There are international shows. They like American shows that are shot here as well. So you think, okay, but
that's a great.
They know me, so hopefully it'll go through that side. But with COVID, there's still a lot of restrictions. So there's a lot of things just happening that we just waiting. And I guess the key now is just to be patient and just ride it out and see what happens. The challenge just for any actor and any artist in South Africa is that you need to make money. You need to make money because we don't get paid as you do in America.
How does the payment system work for actors? Because I think, if I'm not... So if you're a really enormous actor,
Yeah.
you get a certain percentage of the profits that the movie
So
makes?
not in South Africa.
Not at all?
No.
Shit.
Just because the movies don't really make money. There was a time where they made about 20 films, Afrikaans films, and I think 2 of them made a profit. So you can never do a deal like that because it's never going to work out for you. So how they structure it most of the time is they say, okay, cool, you're going to be on set for 20 days. We are offering you, let's say, 500 Rand a day to be on set. That's not the real one, but let's say 500 Rand a day on set.
The 500 sounds a bit low.
Yeah! It's actually 250. No,
I know tutors who get paid more than
Yeah.
that per hour to teach
No,
people like French or something.
do you have a
You're in
contact?
the wrong industry.
Yeah, do you have a contact? No,
I do have a contact. My girlfriend tutors. She's fluent in Spanish, French, and German.
Oh wow!
So she
Okay.
tutors people. So the other day I was having coffee with a mate of mine, and he's talking to me. Is it French? He also speaks French.
Yeah.
And he tutors French. I mean, he's getting paid like $600 an hour to
Okay.
tutor French.
Sure.
So yeah, you're in the wrong industry. I mean.
Okay. Parlez-vous français? Okay. But anyway, so then they'll give you a day rate, but then most of the time they give you a global package. So that's to say, for the whole month that we are shooting, we are sort of booking you for a 20-day minimum, and we're giving you X amount. If we shoot more days than the 22, we'll give you extra cash per day. Yeah.
So you're really very incentivized to say, let's do another take. I think that was a decent take, but I can do better.
Yeah. No, when you're shooting on set, you're sort of praying for rain because if it starts raining and they have to stop, we have to shoot tomorrow again. Another day rate. There you go. But that sort of concept, like in Hollywood, where you get a percentage of the profits, it'll never work.
Only gets it'll be past X amount of profits that becomes feasible.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it'll take a couple of years before the projects actually become profitable. Yeah, when they get relicensed or whatever. So
tell me, is this your? I've spoken to some people on this podcast about demons, things that haunt them. Things that they are terrified of, and it's interesting because most of the time people are immensely successful, people who have done very well in their industries, and especially, I talk to 20-somethings. These are people who are probably only at the start of very impressive careers. The demons that haunt them are almost always the same, and that demon is, I am never going to be good enough for my own standards. I'm never going to hit my own expectations of what my career will be. And it's something I struggle with immensely. I had a long chat about it with David on the show a couple of weeks ago or months ago. Probably like the last half hour of that podcast is just us talking about have I set the bar too high for myself? And then also the stubbornness of I'm never going to bring that bar down because then I feel as if I've given up.
Yeah.
Is that something you deal with in your career? Because when you said to me earlier, you're afraid that you've hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
That's something that some of the most successful people I've spoken to have said to me. And it's never true. They always break through and there's always a new thing and a new thing. But you're always worried. If you look back at your life, it's very easy for you to see yourself as being at the peak.
Yeah.
Because you can't see ahead of yourself. So do you reckon that's something you struggle with as well?
Yes. Yeah. I think especially last year, like I said, there was this period while shooting season 2 where it started beckoning on me that
started like gnawing at you a little bit.
That I feel like this is as far as I can go in South Africa. Like I've come a long way, and I'm standing at sort of a peak of a mountain, and it's not enough. It's not enough. I would have liked to achieve even more, and go further. But now it's very difficult to try and figure out how is that even going to be possible, and if it is even possible. And yeah, yeah, it's difficult, man. It's difficult. Like I said earlier, you know, when I decided I'm going to be an actor, it wasn't like a thing of, you know, "Oh, it would be nice to be an actor." When I got the call that I'm going to be on Blood and Water, this Netflix show, yes, there was incredible excitement and joy and you know, this feeling of, wow, this is something new. But then an hour later, it was like, okay, but this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I've never seen it as like a fluke or something, because that's what I set out to achieve, is to be in the pursuit of excellence. And now when you sort of get there, it's like, okay, but I'm just, you know, it's just another peak that you climb, and it feels like, cool, I've went through peaks and lows and another peaks and lows, but is there another peak? In my mind, there is, but
there has to be, yeah.
Realistically, am I going to be able to get there? And yeah, it's been very tough to sort of to deal with that, and having to sort of just accept the circumstances of the times we are living in. I mean, last year at the beginning of the year, it felt like my life was, I'm starting to get things going now.
Yeah, it's
I've got people phoning every day. Can you come shoot here? Can you be here? Flying to Cape Town, back to Joburg. Got 3 shoots here. Blood and Water is about to come out. All these things, and then it just
stops.
Got to a standstill for everyone around the world. But now, after I took the time to sort of look back at what I've done and where I'm going to, and starting to think about, okay, but what's next now? What is actually next? And if it's not going to be there, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go back to doing like things like that, soapies, you know. I enjoyed it while I was there, but creatively, that's not what sets my soul on fire. It needs to get bigger.
Did Blood and Water set your soul on fire?
It did. But then, like I said, it does that for a while, and then
it becomes normal.
And then it becomes like, okay, what's next? What's next? And let me be completely honest. I think what's been difficult for me is, for a lot of the other actors, it's opened up amazing doors, and their careers have just shot. And it's been weird sitting and thinking like, oh, but I wanted to, you know.
What are you referring to when you say it's like, giving an example of someone whose career is sort of
so let's take Amma, right?
Yeah.
Amma, who plays the lead, who's amazing, and she started, I mean, Blood and Water was one of her like first roles, and that just immediately catapulted her, because at the same time she started on another show, Gomorrah, and that became like the biggest show at that point in South Africa. And now Amma's just like, she's on the biggest Netflix show, she's there, you know, brands are starting phoning, it's Adidas, it's this, it's like there's a lot happening. And her career is really coming into its own, and she's becoming this beautiful, strong young woman, and it's amazing to see. And in the back, I'm just thinking, okay, where's my shot coming? Not my turn now.
Yeah.
Let her have it and let it go on forever. But like, what's next for me? Because her trajectory is going that way. I want to be on that way as well. You get used to rejection in the industry and having to wait for things, but in my mind it was like, when this happens now, Blood and Water, this and that, my life would possibly change, and I was preparing for that, and I was hoping for that, and it's like, it's not there yet. It's just not happening, and it's opening up a lot of questions. That's why I feel like, is this maybe the ceiling? Is this maybe the top of what I can achieve through acting in South Africa? And then you start asking questions about, what value am I really adding? Like, is this really the dream to pursue, because it's tough. It really is tough most of the time. Like it's not an easy career path. So do you want to continue on this path then? It's difficult. Yeah.
Sounds difficult.
Yeah.
I think it's scary to be in a situation where you feel like you can't go any further.
Yeah.
And to then be forced into a situation where you have to reevaluate whether you picked the right path in the first place. I mean, that's more terrifying still, because now.
So let me just quickly jump in to say that I do believe it was the right path. I'm just thinking maybe it's the end of the road now, and maybe it's time to go into a new path.
Yeah.
I wanted to be an actor, and I'm glad I chose that path. But it's just now, have we reached the end of the road? Is this phase of my life maybe done now? Yeah. Yeah.
So hold on, is Blood and Water finished?
So season 2 obviously still has to come out.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any confirmation of a third season.
Well, it surely depends how season 2 does.
Yeah. So it's obviously waiting to see what happens there. It seemed like season 3 is quite probable, but we don't know. We don't know until we know. Yeah.
Okay. Shit, man.
Yeah.
Gotten all deep.
Yeah.
Yes, this is my favorite part of the podcast. I always love getting to.
I see you started tuning in. You're
yes,
like
it's
just
nice.
focused.
It gets a little bit more quiet.
Yeah.
The pauses between words become a little bit.
Yeah.
No,
start to think about it.
So, have there been other times in your life, like let's say you were on Simulon, right?
For quick, but
yeah, I saw it on your IMDb page. So when you were doing soapies, and these quick little stints on soapies, did you at that point also have these same questions? And then, you've said there were peaks in your life, and then it went down, and then there were new peaks. And what one would hope is that there are many more peaks to come.
Yeah.
Have you felt like this before, or is this the first time for you where you wonder?
So this is the first time, because when I was doing soaps, right? So my first job, my first proper acting gig was on Binnenlanders, and I was there for about a year. So did about 300 episodes of that, right?
Yeah. I probably.
So that was.
What year was this?
2014.
I would have watched it. I can't remember it.
Also, a small role.
I was watching at the time.
But I was there consistently, and that was sort of my learning school. But all the time I was there, my head was like, okay, you need to learn, take in as much as you can, because from here you want to progress into doing freelancing work. You want to be part of series and movies and things. So eventually quit Binnenlanders, felt like cool. Next step, did the pro. From there went on to do other short films and whatever, got back into Getroud met Rugby, but now was a bigger role. I was part of the lead cast and, progressing. After a year and a half there, it was like, cool, we've learned all we can. Next step, movies, let's go. Did Vaselinki, which was like nominated, or it won the best film in 2018 at the Silver Skerm Fears. So now we're building. Then I felt like I'd reached a sort of just a weird phase where maybe I should try something else for a while. So I got into camera work, started doing that, eventually ended up shooting a travel show. Like, you see, everything's building.
Yeah, it's next.
And I felt like, okay, cool, I want to get back into acting. And here comes Blood and Water. And this is the biggest thing. And here we go. And everything built up to this point. This has been 6-7 years of immense hard work and dedication, and I'm here, and it's going, and then it stopped going, and now it's like, okay, that now it's the first time, because it's out of your control, right? When I was younger, I could still learn a lot and grow, and I had a lot to learn, and I thought maybe at this point now, like, I've learned so much. I've got a lot of knowledge when it comes to acting and being on set and how it works, and and I'm an efficient actor. I can do the work, and people say you're good, and they enjoy working with you, but it's not progressing anymore. So now it's like, okay, well, what's happening? What is actually happening?
But I mean, you've reached something really high, because I tend to agree with you a little bit. Is that right now to get on a Netflix movie or a Netflix series is amongst the highest, like the most impressive things you can do as an actor. And apart from working on like a Scorsese project, or a James Cameron film or whatever, you could. It's really impressive. And then obviously within Netflix, it has its own ranking, because you get really successful shows, you get less successful.
Yeah.
So from here on, I would predict that if you do continue with acting for the foreseeable future, I feel like your next 3 or 4 steps would all be within the Netflix space.
Yeah. Well,
which is not a bad space.
It would have to be. That's the thing. It would have to be.
So what's your game plan? How do you get a new role at a Netflix project?
So I wanted to touch on this earlier, and when you have, let's say you work in a company, right? You've got a corporate ladder. You start out as an assistant or whatever. You can work hard. You can show dedication. You can get promoted, right? And from there, you can keep on building and building. And if you've got a bit of talent and you work hard and you put in the hours, you can eventually progress to maybe become the CEO of this company within 30 years. With acting, it's completely out of your control. You work yourself up to a point to build a name, but like, if you're not right for the project, you're not right for the project. And there's only so few opportunities. So the best game plan there is, or at least what I think, unless someone could prove me wrong, is just, my game plan has always been to be as professional as I can be as soon as I get onto set. This second season of Blood and Water, I worked harder. I made sure when I was on set to be professional, help people out where I can. You come prepared, you on time, all of that, because that's your way of showing your dedication and trying to get yourself promoted. And hopefully someone on that set saw that, and on their next job. So let me tell you how I got onto Blood and Water. 3 years before that, I did this little TV film for CakeNet, and the guy who did art department on that, we met a couple of times, just quickly, didn't really talk a lot, but we knew each other. So he got the job to be production designer on Blood and Water. And they had already done the auditions and whatever, and they couldn't find someone for Chris, but I never got the audition. My agent at that time didn't think I was good for the project. And he phoned me up. He's like, listen, man, I'm sitting here and they're talking about this character. Have you auditioned? Can I recommend you? Whatever. And long story short, he spoke to the director. The next day I auditioned. The day after that, I got the job. And I believe that was because of the way I handle myself when I'm on set. Chris saw something in me that made him feel like he wants to work with me again. He's able to recommend me to people. And that's been my game plan, is just to always bring the best I can with passion, with enthusiasm, and hopefully that will create a CV of its own and spread my name across. But other than that, I don't know what else I can do, because if the projects aren't there, they're not there. I can go and audition when they come, but for now, it's like there's not a lot happening,
Do you think that's a COVID problem, or do you think it's a South Africa problem?
No, I mean, that's always been the challenge of being a freelance actor. Is just when the projects aren't there, they're not there. It's not happening. It has become a bit more difficult because fewer productions are being shot at the moment. But South Africa is actually one of the few countries open for shooting, so there's still quite a bit happening. But yeah, at the moment it's just like I had like a quick ad audition this morning, but in terms of proper story stuff, outside of Blood and Water, there hasn't really been anything. And it's just a reality of the game. And I've always known it, but now it's just like I don't want that anymore. I want to work. I want to do things. Like I've put in the hours, man. I want to grow. I want to be better. I want to be bigger. And it's not out of like a celebrity thing. I don't care about that. It's like, I want to work on bigger projects. I want to have more impact. I want more people to see the work I do, so that hopefully it can mean something to them. And you're so powerless in that sort of endeavor, because it's not in your control. It's not in your control. Yeah.
I wonder if we'll be, if a couple of years down the line, you'll have gotten some immense, just enormous, ridiculous international role.
Yeah.
And, name up in lights and the Times Square billboard and the whole thing. I wonder if someone will send you this clip from this podcast.
Yeah.
Be like, dude, maybe I'll be the guy who sends you that clip. And, maybe I'll be just, I'm doing a quick interview with Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
And I'll just quickly pop through to Arno's penthouse in New York and just say hello again. We haven't seen each other in a few months. Just say, do you remember that that first podcast we did where we were like, oh, where are we going?
Exactly, yeah.
Shit, man.
No.
So let me ask, is there a safety cushion for you in case, God forbid, this is the scene?
Yeah.
What are your other ideas?
So luckily, I've got other interests as well. I love acting. That's my passion, but it's always been more just sort of the passion. I wish it could have been my only career focus, but over the past years, I've learned a lot more about camera work, producing, editing, some more behind the scenes stuff. So I've got a company that does like corporate ads, social media content, all of that. And I love business. So for me, that's a nice thing to still go into. I'm happy when I do that. A lot of people say like, if I don't do this, I'll never be happy. For me, it's not like that. I'll be a bit like, I would rather be acting, but I still love business. I mean, I told you I got this business meeting this morning, and like that gets me fired up, man. That gets me excited. That's a different type of like energy and passion that you need to put into that. So I've got the media company, and I'd love to keep on growing that. The challenge has just been like over the past years, I've set that aside because acting is the thing I really want to do. So I haven't been building the company because that's just been like stuff I do in between acting jobs. And now it's getting to the point where, okay, maybe this should become the main focus now. Maybe this is where I'm heading towards. But you can't be half pregnant. You need to decide where are you going to commit to, because if I'm going to go shoot in Cape Town for 5 months, what's happening to my business in Joburg? It's not at that point where we're operating all over the country. So that's a challenging thing also to juggle in your head. Like, what are we doing now? Are you going to commit to this and make a success out of it? Like, you can, because that'll fulfill you if you pursue that and you make it a success. Or are you still like just hanging on to maybe that big project is coming through, maybe that thing? Because with Blood and Water as well, it's a massive project, but it's not putting me on the map like you might think it would. So maybe there's still that project coming, but how long are you going to wait for that? Well, you could be building this business and in 5 years look back and like, wow, I actually did something. And being an actor is a selfish thing. It's like, I want to be an actor. I want to be seen. I want to show the world my work. Whereas building a business is like, I can provide value to people, real value. I can create jobs for people. There's a different sense of satisfaction that comes from that. And I think it's a lot more purposeful when you go that way and you create value for people. And, you sometimes ask the question of like, cool, I got my show on Netflix, but people watch it in a night and it's over. What if I can help businesses grow and I can help that owner of that business feed his family and get employees? What's
a different ballgame.
What's more important in the bigger scheme of things?
Yeah, I understand. I think that the thrill of building a business is really fantastic, and it's something that I enjoy, and that's what I would consider as my main project.
Yeah.
is if someone there was a time when I had just the one business, and if someone asked me what's your main project, I would have said that's my main project. I'm sure my parents would have loved if I said my degree is my main project. And but now it's become too many things. There are too many different things I'm doing. And I mean, with the aquarium business that I've now been in for the past couple months, Vivid Escape is what it's called. I didn't name it, but it's so much fun.
Escape.
We started the business just selling plants that were growing in my existing aquarium. That was we had no capital. Like, we started by selling these plants to people via Facebook Messenger and blah blah blah. And now a month later, I mean, it's still in one of the guys' garage, but it's like a big setup now, you know, and we didn't pay a cent. It's like it's all just been feeding profits back into the business.
It's building,
if we right now, we've just now signed an agreement with the biggest aquarium supplier in Africa. He's now our supplier, and they don't. It's a wholesale place. They don't deal with just anyone. They deal with businesses. They see us as a company now. Now we're not just three random guys who are, you know.
Is that the GoPro?
The GoPro's making noises. Wide shots are over from now. But it's thrilling to now see photos that he's sending me of, look how great this, and look how great this stuff's growing. I mean, we've been doubling our stock weekly for about a month and a half now. It's very exciting. Then on the other hand, Summarize. I started Summarize on my second day of orientation week at Tux. I just met a couple guys. We had this idea to instead of every single one of us trying to make study notes for every single one of our modules, let's just each pick two and do really good notes, and then we'll share. And I said, guys, we've got to sell this. This is we can sell this.
Business,
and
baby.
now we're shooting to like try and do $250,000, $500,000 in a year of just selling study notes, which would have been a ridiculous goal to think of back in the time. I remember back in the day, I used to sit with the guys, the business partners I had at the time, and we used to discuss it. And we said, it's very likely that we'll make no money in the first year. And hopefully, by end of the second year, which was 2019, we said, hopefully, we'll make 20,000 Rand by then.
Sure.
I mean, by end second year, we'd already surpassed 200,000 lifetime revenue by far. You know, we were like, at that stage, it was just me. It's like so shocked with how well it had gone. And then the podcast as well, you know. The podcast started out with me saying, I've met some really cool people who've done some cool stuff. Let's see if we can do something, because I love listening to podcasts. Let's see if we can and now 20 episodes down the line, I'm talking to like actors. I'm talking to people I've seen on TV. I'm talking to leaders, to like really people who are important.
Interesting people,
Not only people who are up and comers, people who have up and come. You know, people who like I was talking to Reinhard, and he's now a friend of mine. I mean, we talk almost every day about investment and business and so on. And that's weird. Like, I grew up watching this guy on TV. Like, I grew up going to Skospel and watching his band perform. And, I mean, he was just a guy over there. Now he's a guy sharing a table with me, and we're having a cup of coffee, and we're talking about Bitcoin. And it's put me in a different space. And now, like, I'm talking to Heike Berg on Thursday. Like, Heike Berg. Like, holy shit, man. He's a famous guy. Like, at least amongst my circles and my community. Like, people know who this guy is. Skulk Poseidon, who I chatted to. He's probably the most well-known guy I've spoken to on the podcast thus far. Like, people, I talk to people, and I talk about the podcast, and, when you hear someone has a podcast, it's like, whatever. But when I say something, I'm like, the other day I was talking to Skulk, and he said... And people look at me like, Skulk Poseidon. And I'm like, he's been around. Like,
but that's like when you said, you spoke to Nas. I'm like,
oh, really? Yes, Nas was actually a pretty early episode. What a great guy. Yes, I rock up at Nas at this place. So he's not really on social media. His daughter runs his account. So I send him a message. I get a message back. I start chatting. And she tells me her name's Gaby. She tells me, my dad's keen for this. Let's do it. We're going to be in Pretoria for a couple of days. And I rock up on the morning. It was like Sunday or Saturday morning. I rock up there, and Nas opens the gate, and he just looks irritated.
Oh, really?
He looked so irritated. I'm thinking like, shit, is this going to be the worst podcast ever? And I drive in, and his first question, I say hello. He looks at me like an old man. He looks at me, he goes, so what's this for? And I'm thinking, immediately,
this is a good start.
I'm thinking, this is going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
Like, this is the end of the Ground Floor podcast. This is the last episode. And I went in, and he warmed up to it after a few minutes. And I had a great time. Like, I had a really great time chatting with him. We spoke for 2 hours about rugby and sports and steroids. And I'm not even that into rugby. I'm just really into people who have done cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just having a great chat with him. So you mention this sort of stuff to people, and they get like shocked, like, wow, you spoke to that person. Like, yeah, I did. And people are very impressed. And to me, it feels weird, because it's like, you
get used to it.
Yeah, you get kind of used to it. So it's so thrilling to start a project and to watch, just to run with it and to watch that project grow. But even now, in what I would say is my 4th year of doing projects like this, I'm starting to struggle to juggle things.
Yeah. Just
a smidge. I mean, I can still handle it. I can still keep all my ducks in a row. But I'm starting to realize that if I take on another project, it's now taking away from there's no time left.
Yeah.
Like I've allocated my time efficiently.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like, if I take one thing out, or if I put something in, I'm gonna have to take something out. You know. So I imagine that within the next year, there's going to be a difficult decision. And, luckily, I'm now moving towards a point where Summarize is taking up the most of my time. Summarize is probably 30 to 40% of my time.
Yeah.
And I'm now going to finish with my degree at the end of this year. And I'm probably going to hire someone else to run Summarize. So I'll have more time.
Yeah.
Plus, my degree will be finished. So I'll have more time there as well. So hopefully that
opens up time.
Hopefully that moment when I realize I'm going to have to say no to a project I really want to do, hopefully that's delayed by a couple years.
Yeah.
But eventually that day will come where I'm going to have to say no to things that I'm really psyched about, to focus on the things that I've already committed to. So you were telling me about your microgreens business and stuff like that. It's you need to decide where you're going to invest your time.
Yeah.
Because time is that one resource that you can never create more of. You know? It's only ever this much. And you can try and cut down on sleep, and you can try and make things in your life more efficient, but you're going to screw yourself in the end by just making the time that you do have less valuable.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
So listening to that little rant, I guess not rant, but just your experience,
a monologue.
Right? Yeah. What's funny about that is, like, the process is a thing that you enjoy most of the time, building things, starting out with it, and along the way you become accustomed to it. So even for me, like 3 years, 4 years into the industry, like meeting some of these people and whatever, it was still so exciting, and I was shy to go up to them, and I was still like finding my place in the industry, and people didn't really know who I was, and that was so much fun, because you still need to prove yourself, and you still need to do this, and I think that's maybe where my head is at now, is like I've gone past that, and maybe I'm not as satisfied anymore with that. And that's why it's fun to like start this new business now and get that going, and like I'm insecure about a lot of things, and it's like it's weird for me to pick up the phone and try and get a client hooked on what we're doing and set up meetings and things, whereas going to an audition, that doesn't scare me as much anymore, and that whole thing of allocating time. So I mean, I can go to acting lessons again every day, and I can go do yoga so my body is more supple for some sort of movement or whatever. I can invest more time into that, but the rewards for that are out of my control. Whereas if I invest all my time into this business, I can build something great, and that process is what's exciting about it. And I'm sort of half answering my own questions as I go along, but
but that seems more exciting at this point than sitting around and waiting for the next opportunity. And I've never been someone to wait, and I've always been busy, but it's becoming like I'm getting older now. Like, it was cute when I was 22, 23, still, trying to live this artist life and trying to build my way up. Now it's getting to a point where, like, I've
closer to 30 than you are to 20. Yeah.
Exactly. And I've got a girlfriend that I want to marry, and I want to have a family eventually, and like my priorities are shifting as well. And to achieve those things and make those things happen, I'm not going to do that by hoping that there's this big Netflix project coming. I always still want to act and be busy with that, but I don't want to tell my wife that, I'm sitting at home because I'm waiting for this project, when I could have been building a business and building a stable future for myself and enjoying myself at the same time. I think that's the important thing. For a lot of people, when they go on this path of being an artist, that's all they want. Their whole life has been like, I'm an actor and this is what I do, and they will stop at nothing to get there. And they won't be happy doing something else. For me, like, being able to talk to you about business, you telling me about this revenue of Summarize and all that gets me excited as well. I love stuff like that. I love property. I love learning about these things. So I think it might be, it's a positive for me to be able to have something else that I want to go into and that I'll enjoy as well. The only thing that makes it difficult is that uncertainty of, like, is this the right time to jump now? Is this the right time now to commit myself to something else? And still asking that question of, have I reached the ceiling here? Have I reached the peak of the fun of the process as well? Like, is it going to become bigger? Am I still going to be pushed out of my comfort zone?
Yeah.
Am I still going to enjoy the chase?
This might be a stupid question, but isn't acting like it's the kind of community where the community is so small that you can kind of, I don't want to say ask sounds like it's the wrong word, but people help each other up, right? So do you, like, if you were to take out your phone and put it on the desk right now, who's the most famous person whose contact is on that phone?
Mine?
Yeah.
No. Who is the most famous? Probably be a singer or someone. Famous as in most well-known or most powerful in the industry?
Both.
The most famous person whose number I have is probably like Robbie Wessels or Brennan Piper. Yeah, I think Robbie Wessels. He's the most well-known. Like, if you ask any Afrikaans people who's Robbie Wessels, they will know.
And then the person who would be able to give you the best leg up?
So that would probably be one of the producers from Blood and Water.
So I'm sort of trying to build to this question, which is, do you think that if you decide on that day and you say, you know what, I'm sick of waiting, this is the day that I shift my focus. Do you think that you'll pick up your phone then and call 2 or 3 of those people and say, listen, I'm halfway out the door right now. I'm about to change my life to something else. Is there any bone you could throw me to keep me in this field?
Okay.
Is that something you think you would consider, or is there a reason that I'm not seeing why that's not a good idea?
So it might be a good idea. The immediate thought I had was just, that producer might be the most powerful person I can phone and might have opportunities, but in essence we're in the same boat, because he's also still waiting for, like, is Netflix going to renew my show? Is there going to be another Netflix project? He's probably just as unsure as I am, but at least he makes the calls. He's the guy who phones the actor to say, you've got a job. I'd much rather be in that position, his position, than be where I am.
Fair.
And that's why the building up of the company is sort of building towards that. It's like, I've realized also that as an actor, you're just getting moved around. You're the face of the project, but you're not really that important. The producer runs the show. I think I might rather want to be the producer who runs the show, where I can be part the creative journey and be part of getting it all together. As an actor, you just pitch up to set. They try and pamper you a bit because actors are so fragile and whatever. You go shoot and you go home. And as a producer, you're part of the creative side, so you're still part of being creative and an artist, but you're still running a business and trying to keep that going. And because I see myself naturally progressing towards that. But before I decide on that, I might actually, like you said, put out that last phone call. And that's something my agent can do as well. Might. But I'm not sure if I'll ever really be able to say, okay, well, this is the end now.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're not going to leave the building. You're just going to get into a different elevator and see that one takes you higher than the previous one.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I can respect that. And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like that whole, the old trope of you got to diversify your portfolio.
Yes.
It's exactly that. Is you are making sure that, okay, I'm not just an actor who could get called for a role. I'm also a cameraman who could get called. And you're in the same room still. So as an actor, you're introducing yourself to producers who might then give you a job in the future. As a cameraman, you're in that same room, introducing yourself to the same producers, and they will know you. It's not like they're going to think, oh, here's Arno, the cameraman, will only ever think of him as a cameraman.
Yeah.
They'll know you. You were on Blood and Water. They're going to know you can act, And I think that's valuable. I think it's a good idea. Like if I were your life coach, and I were to say, right, now we've had this 2-hour therapy session. Let's form a game plan for the next year moving forward. I'd say that's a good game plan to have. Is let's try to branch and grow some roots and diversify your portfolio within the space that you want to be in.
Yeah.
And then hope that instead of just going one track mind, I'm going to do this, kind of see if you can be a jack of all trades for a little while so that you can find the opportunity more easily. The more, like every new job you can do, it's like putting on a different set of glasses, and the more sets of glasses you can have on at a time, the better you can see things. This analogy is falling apart, but I think you understand the point that I'm trying to make. I've said to my family and to people who I talk to so often, is the people I admire most in business and otherwise are people who are doing two things simultaneously that are in completely different industries. Because I feel like the product is greater than the sum.
Okay.
Like, I feel like, let's say, coolness or success could be measured in points. I feel like if you get 50 points for running a restaurant, and you get 50 points for hosting a show. If you do both of those things, I feel like your total's more than 100.
Yeah.
I feel like those two together create more value than they do as the sum of their parts, So I feel like the more parts you can have, and especially if all your parts are in the same industry, you can give yourself even more boost to moving in the right direction. So I think you're eyeing producing jobs and eyeing camera work, eyeing media. I think that's a good call, and I think you're on the right track.
I think the important thing for me, and we spoke about it earlier, is the standards. The standards you set yourself. It's like, if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it properly.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it just to let's just have this little company so we have a safe. Like, when I commit to it, I want to build a company. And it needs to so the acting career went, and we got here. The company needs to be there as well.
Yeah.
It needs to get, and I mean, it's difficult to measure it, but you'll know when you know where it has to go. And being a producer of a Netflix show, Blood and Water, you don't just get there. It's not just like, listen, just phone a guy up. You need to work at that and get yourself in those spaces and whatever. And that means that for a time you need to push this aside. You need to leave that for a while. Keep that going here and there, but you need to work at this. Yeah. Because the reality is, I know so much about acting and that side now, but I don't know a lot about running a company and getting clients and sales and the processes of all those things. I need to learn about that now. And hopefully in time everything will come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so for you too.
Thanks, man.
That's 2 hours, man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. We're done. We're there.
Wow.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you get into it, it flows
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for listening and for watching. And I've had an awesome time. 20 episodes later. And I'm further than I could have hoped or dreamed to be.
Well done.
Thank you. And I hope to say the same for you, using this as a base, because you're already pretty far.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for being on.
We'll rewatch this in like 20 years. And
Yeah, I've got a standing agreement with some people that we'll do an episode at least once a year. So we can keep tabs. So maybe we'll have the same agreement.
Wow. Okay.
All
Let's see how it goes. Okay. Anyway, thanks for having me.
Cheers everyone.